What's up, everybody? How are you? I'm your host, Bill Foster. This is Real Talk Chronicles. And yes, we had a little break. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. I hope everybody had a nice, rainy weekend. It was what it was. That's the sad thing about, holidays. Everybody's ready to come out of the ready days, and next thing you know, it's rain. I think that was God's way of telling us to slow down, and we don't want that. We definitely don't want that. So, with that being said, and saying all of that, I hope everybody had a nice weekend. I hope everybody is having a beautiful day. Go Knicks. We will watch them tonight. Absolutely. I'm rooting for the Knicks. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. But the playoffs have been very good. Did you see Dame Dollar last night? He dropped in 50, 55. My bad. Don't need me cheating him out of his 5 points. But, prevailed. He lost. And that's okay. This is Real Talk Crime. But hey, how are you? Calvin, what's going on? Everybody, there's just some stuff that I definitely want to talk about tonight with you all. I want to talk about Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street, 100 years. How about people can't get along, but we had Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, until some undesirables, as we'll call them right now, just came in and did what they had to do, disrespectfully killing all the black people and destroying Black Wall Street. I had sent Kevin some literature on it because I don't know if he knew about it, but I wanted to bring him abreast of just Black Wall Street, because the beautiful thing about Kevin and I is that we have no problem sharing history with each other and bringing knowledge to oneself, because the bottom line is maybe Kevin, not that he doesn't get it, but maybe he'll see more and more why people of color are so upset with law enforcement and things of that magnitude, because who had the powers back then? Of course, it had to be law enforcement, other people. I also, I think Kevin has the video. We're going to play one of the living people that went through. She's 100 years old. I think she's 100 years old. She wanted y'all to hear a little clip of not of her for Tulsa, the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre to be a holiday or some kind of retribution or something they want to do that. Crime in New York is out of control. I have the stats. Shootings, carjackings. New York, the next mayor, Kevin and I will talk about that. What will the next mayor have to look to do going into office in maybe his first 100 days? Stop, question first. Some of y'all don't want that. I'm an advocate for it. I think it's a necessary evil if it's used right, without the quota aspect of it. It's Long Island. I put out the stats. Over 6,000 people applied to try to become police officers in Long Island. Only 67 made it. We'll ask Kevin about what's going on in Long Island. What's the mentality of people out there? I think I sent him some other stuff. But without further ado, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. This is the podcast that keeps it real 100 every day, all the time. And I will bring in my co-host right now, Kevin Branzetti. Kevin, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good evening, Bill. Hello, everybody. I think we're
bro?
in for a shortened version this evening, because somebody wants to watch the Hawks.
Go Knicks. Yes, don't be funny. Don't be disrespectful. No, we're gonna condense our evening because we are back, but we're not gonna go our normal 2 hours. What's up, Mark? How are you? Steph said, "Did y'all hear that there was a special that was supposed to air on Monday with John Legend and Stacey Adams in honor of the Tulsa massacre, but it was canceled due to threats by white supremacy groups?" See, wow. Let me click on. No, please, Steph. If you get canceled due to threats by white supremacy groups, no, that's crazy. Mark, what's good, guys? Hope you all have a good weekend. Good to see my man Stats. See, Stats is back, baby. Let me see if he got some stats for us tonight. Exactly. Mark, I got some stats in his ass tonight. You know what I'm saying? That's my man, though. Everybody, that's for those that's listening and watching. That's the nickname we give Kevin Stats. And Mark, also too, I reached out to Kevin and showed him some stats on those things that he talked about from that thing that he said, and they said that people of color are getting shot more. So Kevin can bring that up whenever you want. Okay, let me see what this is. Bronx police launched search for missing 7-year-old girl who ran away from local hospital in the Bronx. So Kevin, I'll definitely pass that information on to you. She's right now she's missing. Let's pray to God that she's found. Let's hope she is found. With that being said, just give you details on that. Officials on Wednesday announced that 7-year-old girl was found safe after she was declared missing on Tuesday in the Bronx, according to WPIX. Police said the girl disappeared after she fled from the New York City Health and Hospitals Jacoby around 3 p.m. in the Mount Morris Park section of the Bronx. The MMP said she was found and brought back to her home in the Bronx. New York City Police Department is in search. Officials say Madison Kamali at around 3 p.m., but she ran out of the New York City Health and Hospitals Jacoby at 1400 Pelham Park in the Morris Park section of the Bronx. According to the NYPD, 4 feet, she was found. So let's not. So anyway, okay. How was your weekend? Your Memorial, rainy, like everybody else's?
I took like my own advice and spent the weekend. You know, I tell everybody find a way to wind down and do nothing and stay off of things. I got myself a book, and I spent the weekend reading a book in in rainy weather. Just kind of
get out of here.
Yeah, it just took it down a notch. I needed to recharge the battery.
Right. But if you don't mind telling us, what book did you read?
Actually, it was a John Grisham book. I can't even think of the title, but it was about an innocent man being, sent to jail.
Oh, okay. Innocent man being in jail. Did you see, Kevin, recently that just a man was released after some odd years in Philly? About that story?
I saw the headline, didn't read the story.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, Kevin. Mm-hmm. I want to delve right into something. Let me ask you a question. I know your integrity. I know what the integrity you want for law enforcement. I know if you were a commissioner, I know you would be putting foot to ass on a lot of people due to integrity. Because if I'm wrong, I don't think there isn't any that you didn't see a cop tarnish the badge. Is it fair for me to say that?
Fair, very fair, completely.
So when you see and hear stories about a person, and I mean, but of course we know about people of color, but just let's say anybody. But you hear about stories, Central Park 5. People did 20 years, and now they found out DNA didn't match, and people have recanted the stations. They were coerced. What is your take on that? Like from go ahead.
But bad police work turns my stomach. Criminal police work boils me beyond belief, right? So there's bad police work if I just didn't do my due diligence, I didn't do a good job, I didn't care, I didn't try. And we, any cop could tell you they've seen that happen a bunch, right? That's not the majority, but it happens. But police work where it is, we hid things, cut corners, hid evidence because we believed the person was guilty and we were going to prove they were guilty, is criminal, right? I mean, it just is. And it's a tough thing to watch and a tough thing to accept. And, we need a process in place to make sure that we're not doing those things and that people, there are checks and balances on cases and old convictions. And I think we've hit a point where a good chunk of all old convictions that didn't have DNA tested have had now DNA tested. And then it has exonerated some people. For you because, Bill, I like stats. I went on the Innocent Project website and looked for their stats. They've had 365 people exonerated through DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Is 365 too many? But it's not as high as I expected it to be. I mean, not as low. I think it's lower than what I expected.
So let me say that with you saying that it was lower than what you expected. Yeah. Is it fair to say that maybe we haven't even heard the last?
Oh no,
so there are some people that maybe
100%, Bill. There are more.
Okay.
Are we talking 0.1%? Are we talking 0.0001%? Are we talking 1%? I don't know, but I am a tremendous belief and advocate of if there's DNA on any case that exists out there, if it's 1 year old or 30 years old, it should be tested. Or even if it's 50-year-old, right? If your grandfather was convicted 50 years ago and there's DNA sitting on a shelf that can prove he was not a guilty man, you'd want to know, even if he wasn't alive today. So I think that's a worthwhile thing. Government wastes a lot of money. This isn't wasting money.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you a question. With that being said, a lot of people of color are the ones that get exonerated from this. What do you feel when people of color they sing that song about the cop framed me, this and that, and it's coming out that they're the ones that are that have done this long bid, and they're innocent. What's your take on that?
Like I said, I mean, I can't. There's no support.
And listen, don't get me wrong, Kevin. I'm not trying to put you in a hole, and not trying to box you. But I asked you that question because I know a lot of times some people, maybe not you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but some people can always put cop first, and everybody else has to prove themselves wrong because as law enforcement, you and I know the narrative. Mm. Why would they don't come to work to shoot anybody?
I agree with that.
Why would they do that? I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm having some 3G moments. I'm having some 3G moments as usual. Okay. I don't know what it is with the StreamYard. Once I put that on, Bill, I do Zoom calls. Mm-hmm. All other entity calls never have an issue. It is only with you. Right. I don't know if this app uses more G than everything else.
Yeah, right. Maybe so. Let me just read what people said. Go ahead, Kevin.
In our career, look, I go just my career. I have seen many of people sitting behind us in a jail cell screaming that they're innocent, they didn't do it, right? And that never was the case in any one of them that I saw sitting in there. So you start to become numb to this because people, I didn't do it, my kid didn't do it, my kid was innocent, I was innocent. You hear a lot of people screaming, we're innocent. and you can become numb to listening to when somebody actually is innocent. You know, I would say in my experience, right? This is just me. This is Kevin's experience. The amount of people I've seen say that, you know, it's quite a few throughout my career. I've heard talk about, like, you know, I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. And I've talked to a lot of, you know, parents. I'll give you, you know, Eddie C and I used to do this with juveniles, where we'd lock up a juvenile for dealing or for an assault. We did a few for assaults with robberies, right? And mom would come in and you know, my kid didn't do it. My kid's innocent. You know, the junior would talk to mom and sympathetic eyes, right? And we all want to believe our kid's innocent. And I tell it, you know, the mother, I said, listen, what I'm going to do is have your kid, because we had that choice. The kid goes to Spofford or goes home. If your kid tells you the truth, I won't read him his rights. I just want him to tell you the truth, so you know, as a mother, what your kid did. I'll let him go home with you. If he doesn't, I send him to Spofford. But I said, I'm not reading him his rights intentionally, because then I can't use his statements against him. This is for you to know. Every single one we did like that, the kid told the mother the truth. And would sit there and tell the mother the story of what went on. And, you know, it changes things. Am I losing you, Bill?
For a second. No, I still got you. I saw you circle out, though, but I still have you. But let me ask you a question. Are we talking 300 cases? Or are we talking 10? Or are we talking 2? You understand what I'm trying to say? And I'm saying that's great that you batted 1,000 on all those cases in regards to those kids, because, like I said, I know you and Eddie C. Shout out to Matt in the building, former 2-8 person. I get it, but the personal, but we're talking about all the ones that are coming up innocent that Kevin and Eddie C didn't have anything to do with. So I ask, what's your take on that case? And I know you said earlier about sometimes you can fall on deaf ear, you know, because everybody's going to say, I didn't do it. You're right, until we find the evidence that they did it. But we seeing a lot more, you know, individuals that are coming forth that are beating cases, but they've already spent 20 years. But unbeknown to them, they didn't have the knowledge and the know-how to fight these cases. But it took them being incarcerated, something to live for, to fight. And they're winning now. But 21, 25, 26 years of their life is gone. And here we are talking about, oh, you know, law enforcement here. And also, like, I want to show that clip later of the man at the airport that got pulled out by the police officer and tased. We see time and time again, and I told people this, and you may say it might be my little own conspiracy theory and stuff like that before I read some comments, that I said when 45 got in office and he started talking that hoopla, cops was going to get busy with it. And we see more and more, time and time again, that cases are coming up 20 years. It happened in 2018, 2019. This happened. They said it. I see. I'm going into 3G right now. I just saw that. They said he got killed on the picture of him. He was beat and kicked, and the cops are talking about, I hope he don't have AIDS, that you and I can't justify. And I'm sure more you than me will try to justify it. Let me just read what people said. Mark said, damn, Kev, you have to get a new calculator. You up against the New York City mayoral debate. I see you, man. I'm not watching that tonight. I will come out and say who I'm endorsing if anybody asks me. I will tell you who I'm endorsing in certain things. I'm trying to put a show to maybe together on who I'm endorsing. Next Monday, Assemblyman Al Taylor and I will be talking about a ranked choice voting, and I might try to have some candidates running for office that we can get on and have them state why they are running for office. What's up, Colin? Maddie Matt said bad police work is one thing. Framing innocent people to close a case is another. Absolutely. Kevin, what do you think about that? I'm going to read your comments in a minute.
It's criminal, right? It's criminal. You can't look. There's framing. There's hiding evidence. There's pushing. Twisting a witness to say something. All those things are just not. No matter how much the person is right, you can't. You think you're right and the person's guilty. If you can't convict them on the facts you have, you can't convict them on the facts you have, and that's it. And you got to walk away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was the one advantage, Bill.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You and I did drug cases for many, many years, right? People mainly selling crack in the city of New York. It's one of the advantages of doing those kinds of cases, Bill. If we lost them, I kind of shrugged my shoulders. All right, I lost this case, right? A jury didn't believe it, or a grand jury kicked it. And one of two things always happened, right? Either that guy stopped selling because he learned his lesson, or he went back out and got caught again and went to jail. Like it was A or B.
Somebody was going to catch it. Somebody was going to catch it.
There was. I didn't have to. Never for a second thought about it. We got to make sure this is done, and I have to say this on the stand. I said things on the stand that make me feel uncomfortable because it's like, if I say this, they might think I did something this way, or they might drop it. But it is what it is, and if a jury drops it, a jury drops it. And that's really got to be the mentality of cops. We're in charge of something pretty spectacular in this world, right? Like somebody's guilt or innocence, and there's only one way to do it. Hey,
Kev, let me ask you a question.
You don't do it at all costs.
Like I said, you and I, we're in these groups, and for the life of me, it hurts my heart, and it infuriates me to see former cops say the things they say. It really does. Like I said, Malik one night tell me, push the pause button. Because I really was going to spiral down that rabbit hole, because I really hate, and then I call them punks, to see people say the things that they say. And now I know people of color feel the way they feel. It's a beautiful, dangerous sword that I carry, to be a person of color and be prior law enforcement, because there are times that I see both sides.
But Bill,
but the sad thing is,
you remember 6 months ago, you'd see me in things like Facebook, and I would get in some debates with people. All right, we won't name the couple of people. I stopped doing it.
Uh-huh.
I see posts that annoy me today, and I just flip the screen, and I don't engage anybody. Right. I'll engage here. If somebody wants to come on here and talk, we'll talk. But if it's in a Facebook chat session, I'm not. I got no part of it. I just can't. There are a lot of morons out there.
Growth is a beautiful thing, and we learn and become better every day. So you're right. This is the platform, and we ask anybody, anytime you want to come on and talk your point, debate you, and we can talk about anything that you want to talk about. I'm with it. Any given Sunday, any given Wednesday. I mean, basically any given Monday. Constant, Eric Adams. I'm endorsing Alan Bragg for DA, District Attorney. Uh, I'm endorsing Sammy Ravello for Bronx Borough President. I'm endorsing Tony Herbert for Public Advocate in Brooklyn. And I'm going to hold my endorsement for Harlem City Council, District 9. I'm just going to hold that to Monday so people can turn into that. Because I have a lot of people that I know that are running. I have Billy Council, who's been on the show countless times, who's a personal friend of mine. I have William Allen running for city council. We went to college together. I just met the other gentleman, Mario something, nice brother. He's coming on the show hopefully before the 22nd. Everybody, 22nd is voting. Oh, I can't wait. If that means anything to anybody, I hope it does. Stephanie said,
got some 2G issues, Bill.
Cops could kiss. I know. There's nothing I could do. I don't know why it's happening. Sharon said, many cops could care less about the lives they destroyed and the families they tore apart because of their dishonesty and lack of morals and integrity. What do you think about that statement? I agree with that. What do you think about that statement, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, there are cops who lack morals, honesty, and integrity and have ruined lives. There's no question. Do I think that's anywhere near a small percentage? No, I think it's incredibly tiny.
You think it's a real minuscule that cops feel that way, or you think? I just want to make sure I speak your words and not mine. Do you honestly think cops don't? I mean, they care. They really do care, but they don't care. I mean, elaborate a little more. I just want to make sure before I respond.
Well, especially at least initially, right? Most cops, more than the majority cops, care. Right? They came on, they care. Most cops, when they're young and new to the job, definitely care. I've seen cops who got jaded as time went by and cared less. I've seen cops who didn't care from day one. I've seen cops who didn't seem to care but did their job. But what I'm saying is, what her statement of was just more about destroying people's lives, which is cops who are doing bad things. I'd say that number is very tiny.
Well, Sharon, please elaborate when you say just destroying lives by accident or by fault, because it's obviously, and I'm just going to reference that slime ball George Eric or Shaven, whatever his name. Because like I said, I was in a group and I saw a statement that was so derogatory. And you know what? It infuriates me because I know these cats are punks. And when I say punks, you're not taking somebody down hand in hand. And I know, that's my thing. It's not everything it doesn't have to be about hand in hand. But the thing is, if you do this, look, a little man, what's up, brother? That's the future real talker. That's the future real. That's the future Kevin Branzetti. Exactly.
That's the fourth and final.
Yeah, there you go. Sharon said, I wouldn't be surprised if the percentage of dishonest cops is seriously high. That's something, Sharon, we're going to have Kevin stats. Mark, we're going to get stats on that to find out about that. Like, I'm going to segue to Kev. Let me ask you a question. Recently, posted about, and I'm going to read it verbatim, and it has to be actually fact checked, so it hasn't been distorted or blocked or anything. 6,539 Black people tried to become police officers on Long Island. Only 67 were hired. What's your take on that? Talk about the Long Island culture if you're comfortable with it. What's your take on that?
So I've never taken the Suffolk County, Nassau County test. So my knowledge of that is minimal at best. What I did understand from years ago, and I have to look do some research on because they've been sued before for their tests, that their tests were not appropriate, and meaning that there were questions on there only if you took their training classes you would get the answer for, where the question wasn't, something that was normally out there. It wasn't a racist necessary question, but it was, I don't know, what should you eat first, your bacon or your eggs? And if you didn't know, in their pre-test, in their classes, they told you it's bacon first. You would never get that on the test because how the heck would you know? It's not a real question. So my understanding years ago, there were questions on there like that. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is out there with getting hired. Do I think they have a good old boy thing going there? It wouldn't shock me, and I know it was the system there. Are you frozen, Bill? Did I lose you?
No, I'm just listening
just
to
in
say,
shock.
Yeah, I'm listening to see if you're saying they do or they don't. That's what I was looking for.
The honest answer is I don't.
Are you saying that you know?
I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me. Is what I'm saying. It wouldn't. I know, like I said, years ago, the test had some problems. Undoubtedly, I couldn't pass the test years ago because I didn't have an in. No, I never took it. My understanding.
So how you couldn't pass it?
My understanding 20 years ago of that test was you had to have. Nassau and Suffolk County gave training classes for their tests, and only certain people got into those training classes, and that's through contacts, friends, relatives of being on the job. If you don't take their training class, you're not passing their test.
I'm gonna have to ask my man Lamont Johnson. He left NYPD. We graduated together, and then he became I think Suffolk County. But let's talk about the racism out in Long Island. Once that post I put up there, it seemed like everybody's like, "Yo, we know there's good old boys out there." Are you willing to say that they are, or you just don't want to ruffle that feather?
No, I'm saying I wouldn't. I don't know. Like, it's something I don't have the stats and researched it, but it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me to find out there's an X amount of certain percentage of police departments in this country that will absolutely block, people from getting on, and people of color. There's no question there's some police departments still like that. Can I tell you how many? I'm hoping it's under 1%, but could it be 20%? I don't know. I take a lot of research.
Do you know NYPD was like that too, right?
Yeah. But look, on stats, the fire department is, it does not have.
It's like that.
But they have been for decades recruiting and trying harder in the Black community, and they're not getting, and this is their statements, right? This is their statements. This has been under de Blasio. This was on the Bloomberg, that they can't get the recruits. Do I think de Blasio would allow an administration to intentionally not hire Black recruits? No, I don't think he would. If you would have had somebody else in office, I'd say, okay, maybe. But I can't see that.
So this is where we'll go down this rabbit hole together. People of color are more athletic, genetics, whatever you want to call it. So when it comes to that agility test, a white person is not going to do that better than a person of color. That's stats. That's facts. We're just talking about athletes. People are just better athletes than white people. Everybody knows that. Even the old boy on the porch knows that. So the only way a person of color could not get on a job is either he's put in a position where he can't pass, as you want to talk about the bacon and the egg, or they're going to find a reason to not give him the job. I had put up another post. I think somebody was saying that a person said, wow, let me see if I can find it real quick as we talk, that they were saying that the people that applied for the job in Long Island came from broken homes. What the F does that have to do? That's what the I guess commissioner or the chief said. What does that have to do with being a model citizen? If I don't have a record, and listen, and I'm telling you this from a point. NYPD tried to give me the flim flam.
Me too.
So I get.
I had a suit to get on.
You too?
I had a suit to get on, my friend.
Okay. Well, at least I mean, so we know what we're talking about here. We both do. You know, mm-hmm. We know what you're talking about here. So yeah. What I'm trying to say is that it's always been known to be racist and biased. So with that being said, you live in Long Island. Is Long Island racist?
No, I don't live in Long Island. I live in Rockland County.
Okay, Rockland County. I'm sorry. I apologize.
And I'll never call any county racist.
Why?
Because you can't call everybody in a county racist. There's no such thing.
Well, we're just coming off 100 years of Tulsa, Oklahoma, mm-hmm. And they went in there, infiltrated that, and did all that. You don't think they were racist?
100% they were. But do I think? Yeah, I can't call everybody in Suffolk County a racist. That's just.
No, I didn't say everybody was racist. I said, do you think it's a racist county, though?
Well, what does a racist county mean? You mean the politicians are racist? The people running it means the jobs or the people?
It means the majority of the people, good old boy mentality, not for with equal opportunity and loving everybody.
You 2G'd me on that one.
I said they're not for what Kevin Branzetti stands for. Loving thy neighbor and equal opportunity for all. When you talk about racist, because when we talk about racist being racist doesn't mean equality. Mm-hmm. We're not even talking about white privilege, because you can get white privilege and not even want it, but you're going to get white privilege over me. We know that. But with that being said, we're talking about Long Island. Are they racist? Do you think that's a racist a town? It has does it have a good old boy energy to it?
I think it has a good old boy energy to it, but I don't think that all the good old boy is racist. Meaning, some places are good old boys. You're just from here. You're part of us. Like I said, Kevin Branzetti wouldn't fit in. Kevin Branzetti wouldn't fit in living in places in the South, because I am not a good old boy from that town.
So stay with me. Stay with me. You said that so perfect. That's my point. You wouldn't fit in. Kevin, you've never been a part of the band. The Kevin Branzetti I know that I work with, you may have certain ideologies that we don't agree on, but you're not part of the band. You're not just getting along to go along. You get with your people that you work with, like you and Eddie C, or when we was in SNU. You're not deviating from that. You're structured. That as a compliment, not as anything disrespectful. But what I am saying is that I know a lot of times you don't want to posture yourself in a position that comes out and blatantly says, "Oh yeah, I get the good old boy shit. I see it," and stuff like that. Because let me tell you something. Is Rockland County a good old boy area? Yes, I know it.
Yeah. Every precinct, But if you're talking good old boy, meaning any precinct, the precinct CEO runs it, right? And his good old boys and his friends are going to be the ones in charge of things to get the better stuff. And every county is like that. But if it's a good old boy strictly on race, it's different.
If you have the mentality of not being fair, and we're not talking about good police work, because we know in good police work, and everybody, this is a real talk moment right now. You stereotype people in police work. You do. You stereotype people. That's a fact. So this is not talking about disrespecting any law enforcement officer that is a good officer. And I always say that because I love good officers. I applaud them. I will back a good officer in a minute. But what I will not back and co-sign is just because of problem. In there lies the problem. And because we know that the racist people had the power and they put on a uniform. And then that becomes the problem. Let me just read some of the comments. This is the host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. And we're having real talk like we always do. Sharon said, I wouldn't be surprised if the percentage of dishonest cops throughout the United States was seriously high. Black people on Long Island say that racism there is like Jim Crow. They had serious problems with redlining and unfair policing. How do you ask a white man if he thinks an area is racist? I just did. And I don't know if you accept the answer. You just ask him, Sharon. You just ask him. Sharon, you can ask him. Kevin is beneficiary of white racist supremacy in America. He absolutely is, Sharon. And he knows that. Kevin is not going to go someplace and say, yo, if they do something pro-white, he ain't going in and talking about, oh, that's fair, because they shitted on a black person. He gonna say that's messed up that they shitted on a black or the Spanish person, but he gonna sit down and order his bacon and eggs. I totally agree with that. And that's my personal feeling, Kevin. I'm not saying you're not a good human being, but if you saw a black person or a Latin person get refused or get treated differently at a diner that you were at, you're not getting up and leaving with your kids or your lady. You're not going to do it. You're just going to say, yo, sweetie, that's effed up. That's crazy. We may not come here again, but listen, oh yeah, I like the pancakes and waffles and the eggs and the cheese. I really feel that. And that it is what it is with that.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one, Bill. I don't think I've ever. I'm trying to think if I've ever experienced that when I've been in a place, and
so how do you disagree with me?
Because I don't think I would sit there. I've been in stores and businesses where I see like a customer disrespecting an employee, and not really nothing to do with race, just being disrespectful. And I'll interject. Most of the time, I pay attention. I watch and make sure it doesn't get stupid. And then I'll go to the manager and explain how the employee was correct and how they acted and should be commended instead of treated bad. It depends upon the scenario, right? Like, it's not always wise to jump in if somebody's being a dumbass, all right? Like, just because they use their mouth a little bit.
I'm gonna tell you. Let me interject for a second. I'm gonna tell you a story. I was in Harlem within, I'll say, before the pandemic. So we're talking 2.5 years, maybe. Right, Reed from 25th Street that closed down. So everybody got a timeline.
2G.
And he's with a lady, and he's trying to get something. And the black lady behind the counter, young lady, let me tell you something. If I could give her an award for being professional, being so professional working at Dwayne Reed, he started cursing her out. Now I'm standing there. The officers had came in. I think they had a holding one, Kevin. in the back, or they came to do something, maybe get some intel on something else. They're going, he starts cursing, and he's cursing. Then I couldn't take it. He invited her to his private. He was like, yo, suck my, you stupid black, da 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 da. Yo, my man. And he's with a woman. I was like, yo, who are you talking to like that? You don't talk to her like that. You're not going to talk to me like that. So now he turns around and like, basically, yo, like, sir, won't you mind your business? I said, yo, you disrespecting a woman, a black woman. You're a foreigner. And you're in her respecting her, I'll punch you in your face. Talk to me like you talk to her. And I told this lady, I said, yo, what kind of woman are you to stand there and let your man talk to another woman like that? So now she's like, baby, calm down. Ain't no baby, calm down. Use them same verb and adjectives that you was talking to her, talk to me. She has a job. She has something to lose if she comes out of point. You can say she was disrespectful. I have nothing to lose but some shaving cream and some deodorant. I can put that shit down and get it at another store. Right?
Yeah.
Right? The manager comes up with the front and the cops, and they're like, yo, Jude is out of pocket. So then he comes to me. It's like, oh, yo, he disrespected me, blah, 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 blah. I tell him, yo, what happened is you saved him from getting an ass whipping because he just disrespected that lady that was a worker. And as a black man, I wasn't going to accept that. White women like that either. But the bottom line is, when people, like a person like myself, saw a white man, and with all due respect, talk to a woman of color like that, it's because he thought he could do it. That's what that where we as people of color, we try to stop and stifle the problem that has arisen in this world. Let me just read some of the comments. Sharon said, "How do you?" Oh, okay, I said that. She said, "Kevin." She said, "I read that too." She said, "A white man is not going to say or agree an area is racist. He's white." Steph said, "I remember on the news they showcased a family living in Long Island that was being tormented by their racist neighbor. He went as far as putting faces on their front door. Some parts of LI, some parts of LI are very that when I put this up, and a lot of times I got the Long Island didn't want to be policed or protect and served by people of color, because that means they had to respect and obey. You know, one day, Kevin, I think when it's all said and done, and you and I, we've conversed, along with shout out to Pastor Kevin Graves, we've conversed sidebar on a lot of things, and shout out to Chuck Richards. We talk about that. Hey, Paula, she said, "Oh my God, that's insane, and I'm so proud of your actions, Bill. Thank you. Yeah, you appreciate it. That you, as a Caucasian, a white man, are put in a situation sometimes that you will never see what we see. And if you do see it, do you really understand it? Because there's a justification or staff, throw it off. Speaking of that, we went 2G real quick. Can we show that clip I sent you about the lady from Tulsa? Or what do you have you want to show first? Which one
I
would you
don't
like to
have
show first?
anything. I closed out every one of my tabs because I was having 2G problems. So I got to go back and find.
All right.
What you're asking for, Bill.
All right. Yeah, I really want to show the interview very long, and that's a personal one. I'm talking about the one where she went in front of Congress, I think it is, and asked that Tulsa this be some reform, a national holiday, or something of that magnitude. And with that being said, I'll talk, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. We hope you all had a wonderful Memorial wet weekend. We are back. We're here. I've talked about endorsements. I've also talked about Long Island. What are they doing out there? We're going to discuss the violence, carjacking in the Bronx. 14 people have been carjacked. What the hell is going on in the Bronx? What is the next mayor going to have to do for what's going to, well, who's going to get your vote, and what do you want him to do in about public safety? Go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
I got it now.
Okay. So what we're going to show you, if I'm right, yes, everybody, this is a lady. She lived the Tulsa massacre, and we'll play it and let you just hear what she said.
And by the way, the Knick game started.
I hate you.
2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 107th birthday. Today, I'm visiting Washington, D.C. for the first time in my life. I'm here seeking justice, and I'm asking my country to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa in 1921. Still, Greenwood should have given me the chance to truly make it in this country. Within a few hours, all of that was gone. The night of the massacre, I was awakened by my family. My parents and 5 siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see Black men being shot, Black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and see fire. I still see Black businesses being burned. I still hear airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot.
I am 100 years old, and I am a survivor of the Tulsa race massacre. Because of the massacre, my family was driven out of our home. We were left with nothing. We were made refugees in our own country.
I just wanted people to get a little gist of that. I think I'm asking everybody out there to Google. If you don't know about Tulsa Massacre, it's 100 years ago. It was and this segues to what I'm trying to say. It was a community. It was a place, a city that people of color put their money into their communities, doctors, lawyers, everything. They were doing all the things that we talk about now and how to keep our community safe and proud. The powers that be got mad at what they saw in lieu of people of color being doctors, lawyers, teachers, everything prominent. And they came in there and they killed them. Straight killed them. Go ahead, Kevin.
It's on the list of things that blow my mind. I'm like you, Bill. I'm a product of a New York City education, public school, not taught.
Exactly.
This is not taught. Like, this is not a small incident.
Yeah.
This is not, a one-off or some horrible thing of some guy somewhere being killed. This is a massive thing, and should be taught on par with
everything.
Is it below World War II? Sure, but as an incident, as a one-day incident in this country, it's above Oklahoma City bombing. Yes. There are other things we learn about. We even, I know about Ruby Ridge in Waco, but I don't know about this. Right. And that's disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's our fault as a country.
And so funny, everybody, just full transparency, I sent Kevin a bunch of literature on this because I just wanted him, knowing Kevin, he wants to be knowledgeable of this. If you haven't learned anything about Kevin since we've been doing this podcast, is that he doesn't want to talk fiction. He doesn't talk a lot of hypothetical about this. I wanted to send him information so he could read up on for himself, just to be knowledgeable to self. Because the bottom line is, people, if you don't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, this is what we call the Black Wall Street. This is what we're talking about. Now, there's an interview that they have with that lady and her brother, with another lady, a white correspondent, and she was asking questions. And they talked in detail of what they felt they were cheated out of and what they didn't get, and the nightmares they have. And they asked them about how they feel about dealing with white people and stuff like that. And they also asked them, what do you feel about, I think I put the interview on my page for those that want to look and see, but they asked them, what do you think about, can it happen again? And they said, absolutely. Now, Kevin may think I'm a fish with this one. I'm not fishing with this, but I'm going to say this. What about January 6th? What about all the negativity that 45 spewed out in the world? Dividing and conquer. People of color wasn't going to allow any Tulsa, Oklahoma, because people of color would fight back. But what about the division of people? Listen, people have tried so hard in the 60s, the 70s, Woodstock. Woodstock was a beautiful place. You saw people come together, all ethnicities, and get high and have fun and party, right? The 80s, 90s, 2000s. Now we have gentrification. But then all of a sudden, I just felt like everything just regressed when 45 came back in office. And then we had January 6th. And then the powers are still law enforcement, where people are saying they're getting killed. And then on top of that, you have January 6th. You have mostly, we'll say, I'm not going to say there wasn't probably anybody of color in there. Coons, I'll call them. I'll say it on my podcast. I'll say it in their face. They was in there dancing. And they went in there and disrespected law enforcement and the government in a whole. Kevin and I both denounced that. Now they're talking about they're not even going to try to prosecute on that. Why is that? We can ask Kevin how he feels about that. But there was a division for 4 years of people of color. I have white people in my family. I have white friends. They're, due to politics, some don't even speak anymore. And then when we talk about law enforcement, I need to ask I would love to have a panel of just a lot of white people that talk about, and Latin too, that talk about just cop shit, and ask them, How do you feel that 99.9% of the black officers that you work with don't agree with you now that we're retired? How do you feel about the things that you say that are so disrespectful? We will definitely understand and talk more on this. Cruz. Kevin and I am not going to stay too long, but we're going to just say a few more things and we're going to give you some time. Paula said, what about the shooting murders in East Harlem, two back to back? Paula, the shootings are crazy in the city. I'm getting this the other day, 7, 13. Like, yo, what's going on? Steph said, imagine if Black Wall Street was allowed to thrive. I wonder where we be as people. Yo, listen, we would have our own. And to today, Steph, to get back to Black Wall Street, we talk about what we, this is just me, Kevin, shooting off the cuff. Black people can't share $1 with each other without talking about this and talking about that, or talking about somebody's mama, or talking about some crazy shit. Paula, for my culture, it compares to the Holocaust. That's how I feel. It's almost in line with the Tuskegee experiment. Exactly. The Tuskegee experiment, for those that don't know, they gave people of color polio. No, people of color had polio, and they wouldn't give them the vaccine. So that's why a lot of times, Kevin, when you hear a lot of people of color talk about, oh, I'm not going to take the vaccine, they're referencing that, but they don't even understand about Tuskegee and what happened in. Mark, he says, he said, it's a shame that this wasn't taught in schools. My parents told me of similar things. The Devil's Punch Bowl is another horrible thing our country doesn't mention at all. Absolutely. Thank God for those 2 survivors. The story has been open for the whole world to see. Absolutely. Kevin, I know you have to go. We're not going to stay long on this. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. We rocking, we rolling, we back. I wish you all a beautiful day. You know, we wanted to come back. The summer is here. Stay with us. And we know summer is a hard time for us to do what we do. But please remember, subscribe to us on YouTube. If you miss us, if you can't be able to be with us, please go back and watch us. We still get the numbers when you watch us and come back and see us. I just want to read some of the comments, and then Kevin, I'll let you finish us out. Sharon, I never liked American history in school. This was history was taught in American schools, made white men look like heroes. I totally agree with you, Sharon. I'm going to pick up what you're saying, because they don't teach us about our kings and queens. They taught us about the first thing that anybody learned about Black people or people of color, the Indians, anybody in history, was they were already in chains and they was in bondage. She also says, do you have any apple juice, Cap? It was a big lie. It didn't even applaud the contributions of white women. American history omitted the gender. Because I'm not drinking apple juice.
You need a new one for the thing?
Yeah, because people. Exactly. Tell little Kevin we said what's up. Kevin, before we get out of here, because I know you got to take care of certain situations, give us some positive affirmation. We will see you next Wednesday on the show. But welcome back. Happy Memorial Weekend. Shout out to all the veterans and the people that have lost their lives. We respect you. Shout out to all of you that are doing all the things that you can to be a better person and make the world a better place. Colin said, this is the reason why, as Black people, has to touch our children, our history. Just we'll talk about that Asian hate. People don't have no problem talking about God's matter. So go ahead, Kevin.
Just
Give us
quickly, because listening to Colin and other people talk about, they learn these things about Tulsa from their family and stuff. My grandparents were born in Europe, right? Like they weren't here, so there was if I didn't learn it in school, there was nobody to teach me this stuff. And again, it's a shame, and we as people need to push our politicians to change that. Many Democrats and Republicans from different cities, different places have run our country, and nobody's changed this, and that's a shame.
And you're totally right. I totally agree with you. Of the Holocaust. Why doesn't you got damn near 50, 59, 60-year-old black people don't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street? Let me tell you something. We got to be extra woke to learn our own history. And the bottom line is then we got to teach white people the history. Because the damn sure white with you and you're open to it. You understand what I'm saying, Kevin?
Yeah,
that's the beautiful thing. You're open to it. You want to learn. You're like, oh.
Knowledge is everything, Bill.
I get it now. Maybe, and that's my point. But there are some people right now that, the first thing they'll say, oh, why you keep living in the past? That's not today. This is why your mentality is the same way. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Go ahead, Kevin. Man, finish out, brother.
All right. So, do I have to give a go Knicks on behalf of Bill for tonight? Do something.
I'm gonna say go Knicks. You ain't gotta say it. I got it.
Yeah, do something positive. It's always my thing, right? Do something positive. There's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of things that are wrong in the world. But I honestly had a conversation earlier today with a gentleman who explained it very well to me. We are, as a country, actually moving in the right direction. It takes a long, long time. We're an entity of numerous different tribes that were put together to form a country. And tribes take a long time for people to be able to mix and meld and with each other. And you can see this in other parts of the world where countries struggle, where civil wars are still existing in lots of places in the world because those tribes don't get together. We're a massive experiment in world history. The pushing together of lots of people, it takes time. It doesn't feel like it at times, but we are actually moving in a right direction. It ain't fast enough. It ain't quick enough. It takes work. But you got to be able to put the work in. And part of putting the work in is just, learning to talk to your neighbor, learning different things, and educate your politicians so we get what we want. They will listen. Harass them. Everybody have a good night. The Knicks are tied at 21.
Absolutely. Everybody, thank you. Please, what we do here is all about education and we don't give a conflict without trying to give a solution. Kevin and I can disagree almost everything, but the one thing that we do agree on is we want a better place to live. We want a better world. And that's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate it. I appreciate people. The weather's nice. People are not, some people are vaccinated, some are not. People are trying to be out, enjoy this. Listen, but just let them know. Real Talk Chronicles is here. Share it. Let them know we still here. We're not going anywhere. And the numbers still can be the same. Just, I get it. Tell them to watch it when they're 9 o'clock. Tell them to watch it after the Knicks game. Tell them to watch it tomorrow. Tell them to watch it whenever they can. Thank you. I appreciate you. All success. We're here with you all. Everybody have a good night. Go Knicks. Go Islanders, right? Go Kev, right? Come on, Yankees. Yankees is that's Rangers are the Rangers are out.
Thank God.
Out of it, right, Kev?
Yes, they are.
They're out of it. They're out of it, right? Yeah, see?
Yeah,
he's a hater.
I'm an Islander fan.
Oh, yeah. Kevin, you're cool for making the announcement. Everybody, we talk to you later. Peace and love.
Good night, all.
Monday. I'll be here with Al Taylor. We're talking about